Hey folks, we are back on the dev server, this time taking a look at the DBLK. Now, this is going to be a rank 1 premium bomber coming into the Soviet tech tree at battle rating 2.0. In addition to the usual dev server disclaimers about everything is subject to change and all that, this plane in particular is in an unfinished state, so expect this to be reasonably different in a few specific areas when it goes, into the live game. In particular, the gun turrets and stuff are busted. I also have a little bit of a gripe. So, you have a pair of Shkas machine guns on the center line. Normally, that would be a good thing. Centerline guns are easy to aim. The Shkas is an excellent weapon. It's my favorite low-caliber machine gun that we get in War Thunder. However, 500 rounds of ammo is not a lot of ammo for the Shkas, and if you notice, they are defensive armament. You cannot fire these guns with your normal trigger when you're in like the default camera view or like flying from the cockpit or anything like that. In order to manually fire these guns, you have to switch your camera into the gun turret view, then swing around to look forward and start firing manually while you're not flying your plane from the gun turret view, or at least, not having full controls usually. That is not good. Now, you might think it's a good thing because your gunner is going to automatically fire these things when you get in a position behind a target, and he'll try. The problem is, the AI gunners are notoriously crappy shots. They can't hit the side of a barn. And with only 500 rounds of ammo, you're going to run through your ammo real quick and you're not going to get anything for it. You're going to run through a third of your ammo just in the second or two it takes you to hit your keybind and switch into the gun turret view and swing your camera back around forward. I'm really not happy that they set these as defensive armament, but it is what it is. I left some feedback to the snail. Maybe they'll change it before this goes live. I'm not optimistic. We'll see. Anyway, let me get this thing into the air. Okay, so we're out in the air in the DBLK. There are a couple of things to show you right up front. We do have an optical bomb sight. That is definitely good to see. The zoom on it isn't too great, but didn't really expect it to be. It's a rank 1 bomber. We have internal bomb bays, which is really cool on a plane like this. You can either, the weapon load I took here is 2 500-kilogram bombs and a whole bunch of the smaller ones, just so I could show you the internal and external weapon load. I think that most people are going to go with a pair of larger bombs just mounted on the center line, and they're going to ignore the internal bomb load, and that's fine. But the internal-only bomb load might be an option if you really want to go, try-hard sweat mode. And juice the absolute maximum amount of flight performance out of this thing. Speaking of which, I've actually got a couple of books that talk about this plane, and the pilot reports from the very small handful of guys who flew this thing were extremely positive. They talked about the plane having really good climb performance, really good maximum speed, again for 1939. And they even referenced it being fairly nimble and agile. However, in the game here, not so much. The rate of roll and the turn performance on this is not good, which kind of took me by surprise, especially considering how much lifting area you have across, the structure of this plane. I can't help but feel like the snail kind of did this one dirty. But, we'll see what it looks like when the patch goes live. The last thing I want to show you here is what I was talking about with the guns. Now, I can't fire the Shkas. I'm hitting the trigger, and it's no armament on aircraft. If I want to fire those forward-firing Shkas, I have to switch into my gunner view, which defaults to facing backwards, rotate the camera around forward, and fire them this way. Speaking of gunners, you can see my gunners are kind of shooting all over the place here. My forward-firing guns and the vertical guns just pointing off into space are all shooting when I hit my trigger facing backwards. So, not optimal. Hopefully they're going to fix that before before the patch goes live and, we can get our hands on this in the game. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you can see the full review of this as soon as I can get my hands on it.